Okay. I think I am live. Oh, lovely. All right, beautiful ones. I am so delighted to come on here today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're with me live, say hello. I would love to hear from you. And if you're on the replay, hashtag replay, you know the drill. I'd love to hear where are you at right now in the world. And also, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please feel free to use this comment section to really introduce who you are, what is your soul purpose. If you know what your soul purpose is, if you don't, all good as well. Let me know in the comments as well, because we're all here to raise each other up, woman to woman, shoulder to shoulder, and there's no grounds, and I want you to know this is a safe and non-judgmental space, no grounds for judgment or social status or whatsoever. So we're all here in this together. And so welcome again. And I'm actually really excited today to come in here just to share what wants to come through, and also to see what's going to come through beyond the subject matter that we're going to be chatting about today. And on the level of just having something to put a name to, you all know that today I'm going to be talking about how you can identify the protective personality. And just in case you're wondering, what the hell is the protective personality? The protective personality is a name that I find deeply resonant with me, and I don't take any credit for it. It's a word coined by my beloved teacher. The protective personality is basically the ego. And one of the things she always said was that, the reason why I call it the protective personality is because it's something that we all built and created and designed in order to protect ourselves in some ways. And if we name it as ego, sometimes people would really get really triggered and be like, what is an ego? I don't have an ego. I'm not ego. I am always so kind and always doing everything for everyone else, and I don't have an ego. So the protective personality is a term that I find really more effective in a way where when we bring that up, it's a beautiful conduit and a bridge, and also a doorway that opens up a little bit more for people to receive the transmissions rather than getting triggered and running away. So if you're here listening, I know that you are deeply desiring to live on purpose in your own authentic power. You're deeply desiring to really release the expectations of others, right? And you're deeply desiring to heal your generational and ancestral wounds. Hi, beautiful Laura. We have to catch up soon, my love. And you want to find deep peace and wisdom within you so that you can go and take aligned actions with clarity and ease and grace. And really, I know this deeply from working with all of my beautiful Siren Goddess clients. You want to release and remove those restrictive beliefs that really is constricting your voice and constricting you from dreaming bigger and going out to create more magnificence out there and putting your unique voice and speak with so much poise as someone who resonates from here, not here. Because as we are going to talk about identifying the protective personality oftentimes is very intellectual, very much guarded, very much coming from deeply loving, thinking that it's a beneficial place, but not deeply loving position. Yes, Laura, of course. I would be so delighted to do that. If you're ready to release your generational subconscious wounds, yes, baby, come on. I love you, darling. I was joking, but I really deeply love you. That's true. But yes, let's do that. Let's do that. Okay, so when we talk about really the protective personality, let's start with why we have a protective personality in the first place, right? The protective personality is something that we built when we needed to survive. Let's just put it that way. And I love you, darling. I think there's a way to just say hello to everyone as well. Thank you so much for joining me, Laura. I will be in touch. And let's go back to protective personality. Okay, so as I was saying, it was built to protect you. It was built to kind of steward you in a way to make sure that at all costs you are able to survive whatever that you're going through. Hi, Divine Maria. Mwah. Beautiful sister, I love you. I love you, love you, love you. So one of the things I want to share is this really, I kind of find it really funny right now, but at the time it was a very wounding experience that I carried with me for a long time in my life, and I have no shame sharing this, and I'm going to share that with you, which built a huge chunk of my protective personality. So growing up, I always was considered like the really outgoing one until a point in my life when I hit puberty. I started to, at the time when I was going through puberty, I think let's just put it at 12 years old, I was doing a lot of activities where it involved being in the sun a lot. And also the school that I went to, we would always have these daily assemblies where we have to sit in the sun for a long time. And so consequently, our skin, well, my skin turned really dark. And in my culture, where I'm from, and I grew up in Malaysia, I am of a Chinese descent. Being dark is a really, like, dark skin was really something frowned upon. Like, it was something that really was frowned upon. And, you know, I remember going home and my grandmother would always be like, oh my gosh, like, no, what man would actually want you with that kind of skin tone? Like, she would literally say that. And, you know, even in the culture, it's very prevalent, even today, where there will be a lot of skincare products that would talk about, you know, brightening. They used to call it whitening, by the way, but it's illegal now to call it whitening. So they call it brightening. And, you know, we do it religiously and we never see it as something wrong. It's just like, oh, you want to be more beautiful? Brighten your skin. You know, it's when you have dark skin, it means you have a lot of dead skin on your face or your skin. And so you have to slough it away and just, you know, oh my God, Laura, if you're still here, you probably know this. And not to say that it's a bad thing, but I think where we were coming from, it was just something that was frowned upon. Yeah. And it really destroyed me in so many ways because I didn't feel attractive. And to top it all off, guys, I lost my front tooth, and that front tooth never grew. And instead, it grew in the gum, inside the gum. And so it became like a bulging gum thing. And my family was just like in this great dire distress because they were like, oh my God, she's gonna grow up to be someone so ugly because now she's got dark skin and she has no tooth and her tooth is growing through her gum. and for the longest time we consulted, like, I'm not even kidding, we consulted like Taoist shamans, we consulted like monks, we consulted like, you know, witches literally that we knew of. And everyone was like, you gotta go and kind of do this operation where you kind of peel back the gum for the tooth to come out. And so I did that. And when the tooth came, it was a buck tooth. And it was a very gnarly situation where the tooth was on top of another tooth. So obviously, I was by no means, you know, by beauty standards, like, pretty, right? And it was very much enforced in my world that I'm not pretty. That I'm not. Oh, darling, I feel your heart. But that was me growing up, and I was at a very crucial phase in my life where, from 12 years old to 13 and then 14, where you're so hypersensitive to like boys around you, and your breasts are developing, and people in my culture didn't agree with having breasts either. It's really funny because like if you are bodacious in a way at that age where I was, I mean mine are pretty much saggy nowadays, but like back in the day when it first came, it was like really perky and it was out there, and my breasts grew at my pretty an early age, let's just put it that way, when I was 12. A lot of people around me, a lot of girls around me were not developing breasts just yet. And so there were a lot of boys also kind of like whispering about like, oh my gosh, what's that like on her, and why does she sit in that way where she shows that off, or and those rumors came back to me. And I got really, really sensitive. I started to become really sensitive. And I think I've always been sensitive, but in a way, it just amplified so much in a way that was not good for me. And so at the age of 13, when I had a crush on a boy, it was a huge crush, by the way. Hi, Gudrun. Oh, my loves. How... And I think it's Emily as well. Hello, darling one. So when I fell for this boy, I played the second fiddle. Like I was like, I'm gonna help him out. I'm gonna fix all his problems. I'm gonna help him out with his crush with another girl. Like, it's like really pathetic when I talk about it, but it's really truly what I went through. So don't judge me. But and I also have so much love for this girl, by the way, the girl that I was, by the way. And so I did that for a while, and then it came to a point where I started to wear braces, and I think when I was going through all of that, helping my crush to get his crush, it was my protective personality starting to build up. It was me avoiding the disappointment of love. And I remember even looking back, some of you probably know the story where I found my journal from my teenage years earlier this year. It disappeared for a long time since my uni years, and suddenly it popped back up. So I know the angels and the divine ones really needed to hide it away for a while until I was actually ready to see it again. And when I saw the journal and I opened up to the pages, it's always about, what is love? Like, what's the point of loving when it hurts so much? What is love about? Why do we love? What is love? Is love passion? Is love hurting yourself? Is love helping others to do what needs to be done at the expense of yourself? Like, I wrote all these things, and it was the longest question I've ever had in my life for the longest time. And so anyway, long story short, with this crush of mine, he turned around, and at this time, by the way, just imagine how I looked, right? I had braces on, I had like dark skin, and I had zero confidence. I was a librarian, by the way. I loved books, and so I was like one of those bookworms with like big glasses. I didn't have contact lenses at the time. I think we had this thing where we were chatting on the phone every day for a couple of months, and then he turned around and said to me, oh, I think I have a crush on you. I think I like you. And when he said that, he also said, let's try dating each other. Let's try going out, but don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone that we're going out, right? And at that time, I am trying to retrace how I felt at the time at this point as I'm talking, but I definitely felt happy. Obviously, like, oh my God, like this is actually happening, right? And also, there was some kind of thrill to not being found out. Like it was a secret. Like we were in the same class, but we weren't talking to each other. And then when we got home, he was on the phone with me all the time. ladies and all my ladies here, by the way, please do not think that this is something cool, because it isn't. And this is part of being really, really truthful about claiming our sovereignty. Like, we play up these fairy tales and romanticize these romantic stories in such a big way that we don't even know that it's demeaning for us, you know. And it's a woman who really truly honor herself, she would never take that. I'm telling you this as a person who's come far away from that, and with so much compassion as well. But at that time, I thought, oh my God, he loves me. Like, he likes me, and it's okay. It's a secret. Not, don't let anyone know. He's like the really popular guy, and he's good looking, and obviously he doesn't want to be seen out with a woman, or sorry, a girl with like braces and dark skin and messy hair. And I wasn't at any point rich, right? And he was like from a wealthy family. And so anyway, my protective personality started to build from there. And I was like, okay, I can finally, you know, drop my guard a little bit and show him that I do like him. So I said, I like you too, and I've liked you for a long time. And so we started going out, and for 1 week, and 1 week later, he told me, and we didn't have text message back then, so hallelujah for that, he had to tell me on the phone. He told me that I still like, I don't think we should use love. I have to be fair to him. I still like that crush of mine. That was what he said. And he was asking me, so what should we do then? And I was like, well, we can't go on then, because you obviously like another girl, and what are you still doing with me? Oh, I like you too. Hi Zoz, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. And so anyway, we broke up, and let me tell you guys, that minute that happened, it's almost like my fight and flight response had to respond to that, and my nervous system decided to freeze, right? That is mainly how my response happens. Like, my nervous system responds a lot in freeze modes. So I froze. And what happened after that was that I froze for a long time. So there was no reconciliation after that incident, because my protective personality shut down it came up to shut down my heart completely. So from then on, what came down into my subconscious is that, oh, love is dangerous, love is going to break me apart, love is always disappointing, love is about trying harder and harder and harder so that you can be of worthiness to someone else, so that they would never leave you again. So all of those things were churning like butter in my subconscious, right? As I go through my life. After the braces, after the dark skin tone, after the high school uniforms, going through life in university, and then going through life as an adult, working in the world, trying to figure out dating and meeting men, things like that. And I kept meeting men that were just really like taking advantage of me. And I so wished I knew back then that I was never recovered from that incident when I was still very young. The conditioning, the programming that came down into my subconscious and causing the dissonance, where even if I met a really good man, I would think that he was a really boring person. And I thought that love needed to be exciting and heartbreaking, and it needs to bend you backwards and create all these dramas in your life to keep it exciting and passionate. But actually, it was my nervous system, my animal body, consistently reacting in the way that it's been programmed to. So what happened for me to recover from that. What happened for me was that I needed to confront my protective personality in a big way in that arena. What happened was I was living in Hong Kong. Now we're talking about a couple of years later, maybe like 9 or 8 years after all these things have happened, right? Living in Hong Kong, trying to meet a good guy. I was like really ready to meet a proper man and settle down and have like a long-term relationship. But I kept meeting man after man who were not actually looking for that. So I really asked myself, and this is the time when I was recovering from anorexia, when I was really devoted to a meditation practice, and my Kundalini started to awaken at the time, and I was really into really discovering my spiritual world and understanding what happened. I began to ask myself, like, what exactly do I really want in a relationship? What exactly do I want in this man I'm calling in? And so I wrote it all down. I wrote it really down, like concisely down to how he would look like, even the eye color. I actually say green and blue. and the interesting thing is, you know, I actually met my husband 1 week after writing that down. And I remember this because I still keep the journal from those days. And he had a moment when you reflect the light, his eyes would be green, and another blue, and sometimes brown, actually, which is really cool. I really envy him of that. But, you know, what also happened when I met him was that it was all so easy, in a way where it was so divine, in a way where I didn't even realize it until now, where I am here doing the work that I do, deeply connected to the divine and at working with energy and, you know, just tapping into the universe in this way that I do now. But back in the day, I just knew that, oh, it was so easy with him. Everything from meeting him to talking with him and aligning our ideals. And what I see now as I look back is that I actually surrendered completely my fears at the door of the divine, the universe at the time, when I call it. I literally said, you know, honestly, I do want a relationship, but I'm also not ready to compromise myself anymore. I literally said that. And I remember saying, I actually wrote it down. I said, you know, I come first, and I'm going to do the self-care that's needed. I want to take care of myself first, and then this guy will come up. I know that. And then I wrote down what I want in this guy, and I'm not going to compromise on this. And he appeared. And throughout the times before he came into my life, by the way, guys, this is so interesting when I look back, I would imagine having this person in my life. I would imagine, like, when I say imagine, I actually feel this person with me. Like, this person was walking with me back from the train station. This person was eating with me dinner and lunch. This person was, you know, these are the two of the things I usually would do, like walking beside me whenever I go to the park or the river or whatever it is, or not the river, but like the embankment where we can see the other side of the island in Hong Kong. And these are real feelings, like they emanate a frequency that comes from the heart, and that is so important, because those are the moments when I dropped my protective personality. And here's the thing, guys, and I really, well, goddesses, let's just put it that way, I really want to ask you to really tap in and tell me, if you can, right here, right now, if you want to, like, what is your truth? Like, do you want to know your truth? Do you want to know the truth of who you are? Because yes, truth sometimes is not comfortable for us to see. Truth is sometimes not comfortable for other people to hear. My truth was that I realized that actually, you know, I was doing this fixing thing about men when they come into my life, I don't see them as they are. I see them as, okay, I can help them with that, and then they will love me. That truth completely ripped my protective personality apart, because then I realized that, oh, actually, that's not love. That's not the kind of love that I know. And my worthiness is enough. Like, my worthiness is truly enough now as it is. Like, I don't need to fix him in order for him to realize that he's got a good little stud here that he needs to take care of and love and honor and cherish. I am good enough. I am a treasure that he needs to behold, because I am who I am, and he can take it or leave it. Not to say that we're not gonna grow together. We are, but yeah, Gudrun, yes, exactly. It's codependency. I was speaking with my Siren Goddess client last week about, how I went through a relationship with an alcoholic, and that was before I met my husband, by the way. All those men, and I thought I was doing good because I was helping him, but actually I was averting the attention from my own issues, which was anorexia at the time, to fix him. And it was a codependency, exactly it, where, whenever he approved of me, I felt good, but when he wasn't, and he was very violent in many ways and abusive because he was alcoholic, I felt shit. I felt like, well, I don't deserve any of his attention because I can't help him and I can't be there. I don't understand him. Like, all those things that holds true because my subconscious believed it. My subconscious had that programming running in the background. Like, okay, girl, love means fixing someone. Okay, love means you have to bend over backwards. Obviously, I would do that, right? Love means, even with sex, right? All these things. Like, let's not go there. That's another topic for another day. But that was my protective personality. And so I love one of these things that channeled through, they always do whenever I think about, okay, what do I want to tell these people today? And that is, truth never comes with malice. Truth is never told to hurt. If you ever feel like, I gotta tell the truth because I'll feel better and I'll step on their toes and they'll feel fucking bad about themselves, then that is not truth. That is still a form of codependency, because you're taking something from that emotion that they're going to instigate from that truth telling. And so these things are so intricate when we come into cultivating our relational practices and embodiment, where, I call it alchemical embodiment, because when we start to release that sense of what we call the flight, freeze, and fright, even sometimes, responses, because ultimately, yes, we are intellectual and intelligent beings with a mind. We also have an animal body, right? We need to take care of that. And until we actually take care of this system, this constellation that we have here, this will run in a separate way than this. And then you will be separate from your soul as well. Sarabi, yeah. Love. So I just want you to know this, because it's important for us to identify our protective personality. And I tell you this from my own personal experience. Even when I do the work now, I live and breathe it. I live and breathe understanding who I truly am, feeling into it, connecting mind, body, and soul, sometimes the protective personality sneaks up as well. Like, it sneaks up in such a way that can come across as spiritual ego. And I say this with a lot of love because it really is about truth. Is it coming from love or is it coming from malice? If it comes from malice, then it's not truth that is supposed to be told. It really isn't. It's not. And it's not the truth of who you are, by the way. Because your truth is always love. Always, 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 always. I love you, Laura. Yes, of course. We have so much to chat about. Ping me, my love. Yes. But my loves, I just want you to know deeply that, when it comes down to doing the work, yeah, you can have all the beautiful meditations and the energy medicine that we are talking about here needs to transcend the mind. And that's what it comes down to. The animal body is just one thing that we work on when we're doing the Siren Goddess work. It's also about, are you ready to embrace your wholeness? Remembering your wholeness means doing the alchemy, doing the alchemical work rather, coming into alchemy. And when we talk about alchemy, for the uninitiated, alchemy is about turning lead into gold. It's turning pain into purpose. It's seeing all your rejected parts. When you see all your rejected parts, that's your wholeness. People tend to think that the wholeness is like, oh, this divine thing. Yes, it is. And it's also what you have here. All those parts that you refuse to look at for a long time, the rejection, the abandonment, and they always come through for you to see, by the way, my loves. When you see something that usually activates you, or maybe it triggers you, like the word that is thrown around so much, trigger, I like to think it's activating you, then that is a lesson for you that's ready to be, it's ripe for the picking. It's for you to, it's inviting you, let's just put it that way, inviting you to, do you want to learn now or should I come back later, right? And I always say this, the Tao is a compassionate teacher. The Tao always comes back to you again and again and again until you get it. And yes, the Tao can be the Dharma, can be the universe, can be the void, can be all these different labels we give it. But ultimately, I believe that when I speak it, you will understand what it is. I truly believe that, whatever the label that we give it. And I want to really, really emphasize again that, it's interesting because there's this beautiful woman in the group that's asked that, what is Cha Dao, which is the way of tea, and is it a religion? And I answered her, I said, it's not a religion. There is no doctrine, no dogma. But then again, it depends on what you mean by religion, because I do this religiously. And to me, what it means is I cultivate this practice. I cultivate this vortex of stillness every day, every moment of the day, actually. I don't ever leave it. I don't ever take a break from that space. Doesn't mean that if I have to not do the tea ceremony a day and can't have time for meditation, then I will freak out. It doesn't mean that, but I am cultivating and creating space for that growth, for evolution. We need to understand that, we always talk so much about manifestation, living on purpose, blah, 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 but we are all coming from this idea that you need to hustle, there is a straight roadmap, like whatever it is. But truth be told, first and foremost, guys, like if you don't address embodiment issues, you're always going to be staying here and you will never let it land. And one good example is people who go from making no money to a lot of money and then they go back into a broke cycle. Why? Because they never embodied the new vibrational frequency. they still think that they're broke. Okay? When I say they think that they're still broke, I mean their bodies are still in that conditioning, the programming. It's still in survival. It's still in survivorship. So we gotta get you out of that and into a full embodiment. And that takes beautiful divine work, but it's absolutely available and possible and achievable. Okay? And like I always say, it is a skill set for life, because we go through life, guys. We go through life with things that come up. And you can either perceive them as things that break you, or you can perceive them as lessons here to contribute to your evolution and your expansion. And it is your work, your alchemical inner work, to anchor in that new vibrational frequency every time you hit it, every time you match that. That is how you keep up leveling. You know, that is the beauty of living as a human being. You know, we are all cosmic beings living a human experience, and that is the beauty. Because, oh my gosh, I can go on forever, guys, but I just want you to know your body is a portal. It's a gateway. And if we get down to the physicality of everything, you are a sacred geometry. You are a mirror of the universe in every sense of the word. Even from the void to how the sun comes through in the darkness, and how the moon and the sun work, and everything. We are a mirror of the universe. So it's really divine. We all, as women especially, we have to come back to a remembrance of these ancient wisdom, these ancestral wisdom, because when we understand it, we no longer fear what we do not understand. We no longer fear death. We no longer fear letting go and surrender. We no longer fear those rejected parts of us that, quite frankly, have been taught to us by a patriarchy that has been indoctrinated with a very different system that is meant to suppress the voice of women, right? But no matter what the situation is out there, we have the power to rise. We always do. We have to choose it consciously. We have to do the work. And that is why you're here, right? So guys, I hope you're having a good day. I really just want to come in here to share this. You know, I truly deeply want you to understand that, you know, when we enlighten ourselves, when we up level, when we want to upgrade ourselves in a big way, and you know, ultimately live on purpose in your own authentic power, you know, we have to understand what exactly is at play at the very deeper level from the surface. And so these are the things that we really do inside the Siren Goddess. And if you are actually looking into doing the work, you're very welcome to book in for a free sacred transformation call with me, and let's chat about where you're at right now and how we can help you to get to where you want to be. But if you want to stay in the group and you just want to move at a slow pace and check out my work, you're very welcome to do so as well in the Siren Goddess Collective. You know, it's absolutely free. And that's part of the law of reciprocity, right? We give and we receive, and we give and receive. And if you want to come in and do the work, I'm so grateful that there are women who actually want to do this. There are actually women who say they don't want to live a mediocre life anymore, or live in self-doubt and scarcity. They want to live in a way that is meant to be, like limitless, boundlessness, abundance, freedom. Freedom, everybody, by the way, is about truly unattaching yourself from the outcomes of whatever that you do in your life. Freedom is just that. And that includes telling your truth without hanging your energy on how other people would take it, right? And that is where the protective personality begins to melt, and your true magnificence comes through and emerges. So it's all really beautiful, my loves. I'm deeply, profoundly honored to be carrying forward this wisdom from my ancestors, from my teachers. And from a beautiful point of view, Tea Spirit herself, because she was the one who awakened me to this beautiful soul journey that I'm on. So I'm just gonna blow you a kiss because I can go on and on forever. But I want to end it here on this note. And I know I'll be here back again soon. But in the meantime, if this speaks to you, I'd love to chat with you. Any questions, DM me or comment. I love you all. Sending you so much love. And speak soon. Bye.